Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, we're back working on the Team Associated RC10 B6.4, my latest racing buggy from Rochester RC. So we managed to take it out for a run. To get its first track experience with it. If you haven't seen that video, I'll put a link up here, go check that out. So in this video, we're going to start trying to dial it in, sprinkle on a few upgrades to see if we can make it go a little bit better. So one thing that I found was it was understeering. Also, I've done a bit of research online and I've looked at what a few other people have been doing, and a lot of it is to dial out the understeer. And I did experience that. Even though I'm running brand new tyres, I'm happy with my tyre choices, no issues with that. It's just, I think, pushing a little bit more weight over the front. I may change the front oil. I might go a little bit softer in the oil. I have changed the pistons, but it's a little bit thick at the front, so we might drop it down a little bit. Also, the diff, there's a few things I want to do on the diff. Now, this car is known to leak oil out of the diff, so you can get an alloy diff side lid, whatever you want to call it. So I've got one of those. I'm going to change that. Also, when I built mine, I actually soaked the gasket, so we're going to look and see whether mine leaks. After we've done that, we've got some beautiful alloy side hubs, rear hubs to go on. They're not really going to make a great deal of difference, if I'm honest with you. They just look amazing. Also, we've got some titanium turnbuckles that need to be fitted across the whole car, so we've got to do those. I'm happy with the toe in and everything. I set it up quite nicely. I'm going to stick with that. So I'm just going to copy what the car already had, but I've got to change every turnbuckle to titanium. That's going to save a little bit of weight, but nothing too crazy, but a little, yeah, I suppose a little bit of weight. Whether I'm talking myself into that one or not, I honestly don't know, but we love a bit of titanium, so there we go. Also, you can get a full screw set in titanium. Maybe it's a lot of work to take it, yeah, it's a lot of work removing it all and then putting all the titanium screws in, but maybe we'll do that as well down the line. Also, another thing I want to do is I'm going to push the electronics further forward. There's a little bit more space, and I'm using a low profile servo, so I've got a bit more space, so I'm going to move the ESC forward a little bit. Also, I'm going to solder the A, B and C wires the other way around. They're just neater. I'm not sure why I did them on the outside. We're going to change that as well. We're going to move the receiver around. Now, the car was cutting out before.
Oh,
now
we got a problem.
So I'm going to order another sensor wire, as I think that's partly the problem. I did log into it and have a look at the logs, but there was nothing in the logs at all. So that was a bit strange on cutting out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the sensor. Also, we'll change the pinion. I'll probably go to a slightly smaller one. After I was running it, I was checking the temperatures from feel, and nothing felt hot at all. I wouldn't say anything was hot, let alone extremely hot to the point it was cutting out. Another big one that people say is to do is to change all the steering to the alloy. So yes, Rochester RC hooked me up again, so we've got that to fit. So I've got to take the whole front end off and change that. I'm going to keep it in the same configuration, which as far as I can remember is it's low down. So I've got the actual brackets at the top, because you can set the height of the steering in this car. So I'm going to stick with what I had before. We're just going to change the alloy. Apparently it sharpens up the steering a little bit and gets rid of a tiny little bit of slop as well. So we've got to do that. I'm happy with my spring choice that I went to match the actual Pro driver, so I'm going to leave that alone. Now, unfortunately, my local track closes for the best part of a month and a bit, so it's going to be a while till we can actually get this out and run it again. Another thing I want to do was to try and find a vintage body for it, and I have tried everything you could imagine to try and find one. Now, it's actually quite difficult to find vintage body for this because of the front. The back section is no problem at all. It's this front section here. It's much wider. It's quite thick, and that eliminates quite a lot of vintage bodies as they narrow at the front. Now, I did find this, which is a Predator. This is an X10 body. That does actually fit. I don't know if you can see that. it does actually go over, and it actually follows the body line quite nicely, so I could Velcro that down. So that was one option. The only thing that put me off a little bit was the upturn at the front. Now it kind of works because it goes down still. So that was one that kind of, I thought, but it's still difficult at the front to cover that front section. I've tried nearly everything I can think of. I've gone around to all my vintage buggies and tried to fit stuff, and I was kind of getting to the end of the list and I was like, I don't know if I'm actually gonna find one. Then I find someone online that actually fitted a vintage body to this, but because it was so much wider to get the front to work, it was a really wide body that you had to get an under tray because you've got to be able to stick it to something. I reached out to Team Blue Groove and they didn't have the under tray for it. So it was so wide that there was no way that I could stick it to anything. So I kind of scrapped that idea. Then, out of the blue, you're not going to believe this, I found a body that fits. And it fits really well. And you're not going to believe which body it is. Do you want to guess? It's this. This is the body, and I've cut this one out for this car. It's actually this. Yes, the body that I run on my, this is a Cougar 2 that I run on my Cougar Classic. That body, because it is really thick at the front, actually fits. Yes, you have to modify it a little bit and change a few things around, but believe it or not, this is cut for this car. I'll show you. I've even got the slot at the front, which goes in and holds the front. You push it through, and sure enough, it actually fits. And it fits quite well too. I had to do a little bit of cutting around here, but there you go, it totally fits. And the steering works and everything. Now, the only slight downside to this one is, if you look from the underside, it's slightly wider here. But from this point here on, that Velcros down. So it's only this section which is not Velcroed. But I can put some Velcro up here to Velcro this bit here, and between half of the car being Velcroed and that bit at the top, it will actually hold and it will work. So I'm going to end up with two cars that look kind of the same, which I kind of like that. Now, I did paint up the original body from the B6.4 in the colours of Rochester RC as they sponsored this video. So my plan is I'm not going to paint this up the same as my other one. I'm going to do it in the blue, the white and the red the same. The plan is that I'm going to do the blue down the sides, I'm going to do the middle section in white, and I'm going to do a red stripe down the middle. So it will kind of be these colours, and then the windows I'll do the gold as well. So I think that'd be pretty cool. So that's the plan. I may change the rear wing to this one. I don't know yet, I'm not sure. We'll have to see how it drives. Also, what I'll do when we next go out running is I will run with both bodies. And we will find out once and for all if these bodies are actually faster or is it just a load of rubbish. Because I prefer this. This is going to look gorgeous when it's painted up. This is, I have to say though, this is growing on me. I love these colours, it's very retro. And yeah, I have got used to this being on the car, I must say. Even though I will prefer this when I've painted it up. Another thing that I've done, I've got this. Now, believe it or not, I've actually had this for quite a while. And I gave it a go today. So I've got some airbrush cleaner and I've got some airbrush thinners, and I got it all up and running for the first time, and I had a little play around. What I did was I decanted some Tamiya PS paint, then I only needed a little bit of it, and then I had a play, and I think yes, we're going to give it a go. So I've got to order some proper paints for it, and then we're going to paint this body up, and I'm going to use my airbrush instead of the Tamiya paints. So we'll have to see how that goes. Also, I probably want to try and decant the blue, because I love this blue. I don't think I'm going to find this metallic blue. So I'll buy some Tamiya paint and then I'll spray it out of the can, mix it up, and then I'll paint it up. So that's the plan for that. A few other things I'm still yet to buy. I've got to buy the transponder. I'll get that at the end of the month as well. and I probably won't be too long before we put a upgraded ESC and motor in this one, because I think really I should be looking at a 7-turn, 5.5-turn motor, and also going to more of a more powerful ESC to really start stretching the legs of this. But obviously budget wise, that's quite a bit of money. So there's quite a lot to do, and I'm really looking forward to getting back on the track with this. After all the changes, the center of gravity has come forward quite a bit. It's now sitting right bang almost in the middle, so I'm really happy, but I'm really desperate to try it out and see whether it's going to make a difference, all these upgrades. Also, I put an extra weight under the steering, so we've got an extra 10 grams. Put some in front of the servo and some actually under the steering, and it all clears and everything, so I've got a little bit more weight over the front, so it's now feeling a little bit more balanced. So I am itching to get it back on the track, but we've just got to wait. So there you go. On the next episode or the next update of this, hopefully I'll have the body finished. Maybe we'll be putting some new electronics in it. We'll just have to see how the budget goes. Thanks so much. See you on the next one. Bye bye.